Hey, morning. I'd love a flat white, maybe a little sanity check on this. I'm wrestling with an ending.
A drink and a plot twist? You came to the right place.
Just close your eyes and you'll see something, a story never seen. It started at Starbucks with a barista queen. She joined a criminal group one day, a group that couldn't be seen. But Paris, he fought them all like the animals in the sea. The animals in the sea.
It all started at Starbucks. That's where the first time that Andy tried to kill me was at Starbucks, which was back in 2015, July.
Just close your eyes and you'll see something, a story never seen. It started at
Hey, morning. I'd love a flat white, maybe a little sanity check on this. I'm wrestling with an ending.
A drink and a plot twist? You came to the right place.
Don't you know I kill people? You could hide behind glass, kid. Don't you know I kill people? I still see you. Done.
And then later I moved to the interior of British Columbia, and I ended up in Vernon. And that's where Sophie and 38 other Starbucks employees plotted out to destroy my life. And all of that ended up in a complaint. A complaint which we're going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about the tribunal, the BC Human Rights Tribunal complaint, briefly. We're not going to dwell on it. I don't want to dwell, but I just want to give you a synopsis of the decision. And then I've prepared a list. Oh, here we go. A list of things, tangible, measurable facts that I'd like to call, that were in the complaint, that were dismissed, ignored, or deemed not credible enough. Again, the advantage I have is that we have a decision that was rendered on January 19, 2023, after nearly 5 years. It was submitted in December 2018, right? Which we're coming up on the anniversary of the submission. Almost 5 years. Now, the advantage I have is that a decision is now historical fact. So, it all started at Starbucks. The decision took 5 years. Here is the decision, and we're going to summarize what the complaint is. And then I'm going to go into some key moments at Starbucks. It started at Starbucks. It was at the Pulse. There was a Polson store. This is back in 2016. And then later the Polson store was closed a couple of years later, and a new store was opened on Highway 97, where many of the incidents took place. Okay, so let's look at the tribunal complaint. I have to look at it here. Let's see. Overview. So this was rendered July 19, 2023, file number CS-000857. The matter between Paris Towson and Starbucks Coffee Company, Sophie Santai, and Kate Parker. There was so the reasons for decision. So I filed a complaint. The respondents, Starbucks Coffee had their own law firm, and then they retained another law firm. So there were two law firms which was a lot of lawyers against me, who was not a lawyer. Counsel was Jennifer Kwok, and the tribunal member was Jessica Darenick. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And so you file a complaint, and then the respondents filed to dismiss the complaint. In paragraph 4, the respondents deny discriminating. They deny treating Mr. Tosin adversely and deny perceiving him as alleged. They apply to dismiss the complaint. And I filed 6 applications at the time of the complaint. All 6 applications were denied, and the complaint was dismissed entirely. And Ms. Darenick says here in paragraph 7, while I do not refer to it in all my decision, I have considered all the information filed by the parties in relation to the applications. Okay, so everything I will say, it was filed, and it was considered, allegedly. And then she'll go an overview of some of the submissions, on only the pieces that will help make her a decision. Okay, so that's 7. And then let's look at the paragraph 12. Broadly, Mr. Tosin alleges that A. Miss Santai and other Starbucks partners treated him disrespectfully when he was a customer at Store 1 and Store 2, right? Polson Store and the Highway 97. Including by gossiping and spreading rumors about him, ignoring him, referring to him using terms such as pedophile, and once spitting in his coffee. B. Ms. Parker and Starbucks did not appropriately respond to approximately 25 complaints he made about Ms. Santai and other partners in 2017 and 2018. You recall I'd made 25 complaints to remedy the situation, and Ms. Parker, who was the district manager at the time, did not adequately or appropriately respond or stop the harassment. C. Ms. Parker banned him from attending Starbucks on March 1, 2018. So those are my broad allegations. And then in 14, paragraph 14, the respondents deny that Ms. Santai or other partners mistreated Mr. Tosin, or that he experienced any adverse impact in services, period. They say Ms. Parker and Starbucks appropriately responded to Mr. Tosin's many complaints as best they could. They deny banning him from any Starbucks stores. Okay, so it's a complete, utter denial, as listed here in the decision. This is the decision, so now it's fact. It's a historical fact. And that's why I like talking about historical fact, because in my other stuff, I never get a chance to talk about facts. This one's interesting here. Okay, so paragraph 15. It says that the respondents say they did not perceive Mr. Tosin as a pedophile, a heterosexual, or dangerous to women, right? They dispute Mr. Tosin's assertion that societal stereotypes cast adult heterosexual men as pedophiles or dangerous to women. In any case, the respondents say they did not perceive Mr. Tosin in this way. They say that Mr. Tosin's complaint is founded on his stereotypical views of how women, particularly young women, should conduct themselves, particularly when working in customer service roles at places like Starbucks. If that is not complete speculation and conjecture, I don't know what is. But it was accepted, as we will see. It's a broad hypothetical prognosis. Okay, so that's So that's the broad strokes. Now let's get down to some meat. Okay, but you get the general idea. Complete denial, all the allegations, in no way was he banned. And the reason he made all these complaints is because he expects young women to behave a certain way. Which is basically calling me a misogynist. So we're moving down the decision here in paragraph 66. So in paragraph 65, Ms. Dernick says, I've reviewed all of the evidence and considered Mr. Tosin's submissions, and I conclude there are no issues on which it would be appropriate to exclude any of the respondent's evidence or give it less consideration. So that's the evidence from Ms. Santai and Ms. Parker. So she gives it full consideration. Paragraph 66, for example, Ms. Santai's evidence is that she had growing feelings of discomfort and fear when Mr. Tosin made many complaints about her. Ms. Parker's evidence is that she was aware of Ms. Santai's feelings of discomfort and fear, and she addressed the issue along with Ms. Santai's direct manager. I submitted that Ms. Santai didn't submit any medical evidence to show discomfort and fear. And the tribunal said Ms. Santai does not need to submit medical evidence to corroborate her own evidence about how she felt. Okay. Paragraph. Okay, so you heard that. Now, this goes back to, if you remember the last episode, this goes back to Sophie was hiding when I went to Starbucks at store 97, and I had known this barista for a year and a half at the other store, which is a very small store, and there were no issues at the whole time. But when I went to the Highway 97, and then when she was poisoned by organized crime, and then when the police consulted with the management and gave them advice, this is how you deal with the situation. So when these other parties got into the picture, then everybody got scared. And she was hiding in the back room. Every time I came in, she was hiding in the back room. I was there 2 hours, 2.5, sometimes 3 hours. And Sophie was hiding in the back room because, as stated, she was uncomfortable and feared for her life. I find this absurd. I find this absurd. And the tribunal member, Miss Derrick, took this seriously. Yeah, she said, I wrote, she took all the evidence as credible and totally serious. It's totally bogus. Okay. So, what I'm saying is what I said when she was hiding in the back room, that's all corroborated, that's all admitted, and it's stated right here. Let me read it again. I think that was very good to read. So these people, they file their submissions. Ms. Santai's evidence is that she had growing feelings of discomfort and fear when Mr. Tosin made many complaints about her. And then Ms. Parker's evidence is that she was aware of Ms. Santai's feelings of discomfort and fear. And then she addressed this with the direct manager. So there's 2 managers involved and Ms. Santai. Okay. Now, this will be more and more relevant as we get to the next part when I tell you some of the incidents that were also submitted and ignored. All of my evidence was ignored. That the tribunal member didn't find any of my evidence credible and found all of the evidence from the respondents credible, and that was one of the issues. Okay. Here we go. Was Mr. Tosin treated did he receive disrespectful treatment as a customer? Paragraph 76. I find there is no reasonable prospect of Mr. Tosin establishing that he experienced adverse treatment in his service as a Starbucks customer, including the spitting in my coffee, which I don't think I've mentioned before, but it's in the complaint. I also find that there is no reasonable prospect of the tribunal concluding that his age, sex, or sexual orientation were factors. But there's a double. She did not believe that I received any adverse treatment. Okay. So the tribunal has stated I have not received any adverse
morning.
treatment.
I'd love a flat white, maybe a little sanity check on this. I'm wrestling with an
and
ending.
the last
A
one.
drink and a plot twist? You came to the right place.
Some here. Big paragraph.
Don't you know I kill people? You can hide behind glass, kid.
Paragraph 8.
You know I kill
I
people.
accept the respondent's submission that much of Mr. Tosin's complaint is based on his views and
I still see
expectations
you,
of how
but
Miss
done.
Santai and other young women should conduct themselves while working at Starbucks. His allegations that Miss Santai and other partners discriminated against him by failing to pay enough attention to him or to be friendly enough are examples of this. So the tribunal will say.
Hey,
Now
morning.
she's looked at
I'd love a
all
flat
the
white,
submissions.
maybe a little sanity check on this.
She's
I'm wrestling
saying
with an
that
ending.
A drink and a plot twist? You came to the right place.
I'm complaining because the baristas are not paying enough attention to me. They're not friendly enough. And,
Don't you know I kill people?
I expect them to behave a certain way. And
Can
that's
hide behind
the
glass,
basis
kid.
of the 25 complaints.
Don't you know I kill people?
I accept the respondent's
I still see you,
submission,
but done.
which is all speculation and conjecture. It's not rooted in any fact. There's nowhere in the complaint where that there's any evidence to support that. Is based on his views and expectations of how Ms. Santai and other young women should conduct themselves at Starbucks while working at Starbucks. Well, again, it's not just Ms. Santai and Ms. Parker. There's 39 employees, which I discussed in the previous episode. There's 39 employees, and Starbucks, the makeup of Starbucks staff is 85% female. So the appearance is that I'm complaining how females should behave, but that's the makeup of the staff. It's not a generalized complaint. You understand? I'm not going after specific women. There are 39 employees, which is everybody is included, and 85% of them happen to be women, and most of those, 99% of those are young women. Right? And that's in the complaint. I mean, that's what's in my submission, that the staff make up. And I list everybody by name. So it says here, it's based on, his complaint is based on his views and expectations of how young women should conduct themselves. It has nothing to do with young women. The complaint has nothing to do with young women and how they should conduct themselves. So that's a fallacy. That's a lie. Because the complaint has to do with incidents, and the staff involved happen to be women. Okay? And I am a male. I am a man. That's the problem. Is women mistreating a man. And kudos to the lawyers who turned that around. Women, right? Women mistreating a man, and turned that around is that a man is complaining about how women should behave. Kudos. I mean, the lawyers are good. They've been. If you took all of the years of their being a lawyer, it's probably hundreds of years. I'm not a lawyer, so I guess if I had a law firm helping me, I might have won. But I don't have $200,000 to pay all the lawyer fees. Starbucks does. Okay. So now let's run down some of the facts. Okay, some facts. Facts. These actually happened. These are facts, all presented to the tribunal. But I'm not trying to change the tribunal. The decision is made, but I want to help. I want to have you understand the context of the situation. In May, when it really started. May 2017. May 2017. And so I was at Starbucks, and somebody said, "Let's all go have dinner tomorrow at this restaurant next door," which was, I think it was the Earl's Place. And so, okay, I'm not invited. I'm just sitting there, and they're talking about, let's go out. We're working too much. So in the following days, I'm there every day. I go there every day, and there are two employees working together. One is Sophie, and one is Sam. Sam is another worker, and they got along really well. Sam and Sophie, they chatted really well. Sam happens to be gay, but he's a great people person, and they got along really well. And I like Sam. He's very friendly, very talkative. And so after the few days, because I knew these two, I knew Sam and Sophie all the time. They were nice to be around. Again, she's not hiding in the back room. Sorry, this is hard. This is hard for me to deal with. We're having chats. We're talking. They come to my table. We chat. Anyway, after this Earl's Place, something happened. Somebody said something to them. Okay, and very likely is one of Andy's cohorts, conduits, associates. And they said that I was a pedophile. And in the ensuing days, Sam is a very vocal person at the time. He's quite young, right? He's just out of high school. So they were talking back and forth, Sam and Sophie, whether I'm a pedophile. I'm at the restaurant, and they're going back and forth for the 2 hours. And the next day, here he goes again, and they're very uncomfortable. Sam is pacing around. Sophie's going back and forth from the back room to the counters to the tables. Like, they're bothered, right? They're stirred up. Pedophile. It's all talking about pedophile. In the beginning, it was all they were talking. Is he a pedophile? I don't know. After a few days of this, okay, after a few days, I don't know. Why don't you ask him? I'm not going to ask him. Sophie's like, I'm not going to ask him. You ask him. So Sam he's a more direct, he's braver. So eventually, I was there for about an hour now. So it's been going on for, I think it was going on for at least a week or more than a week. Is he not a pedophile? I guess they're not sure. They're not sure he's a pedophile. Now, Sophie and Sam go back and forth. You ask him. No, you ask him. I'm not going to ask him. Sophie was afraid to ask me anything. So Sam was like, okay, I'll do it. And he comes up to my table, and he sits down at my table. So I'm sitting there. It's a little table. He sits down. They're pacing back and forth. This goes on for another hour. It's already been going on for more than a week. He sits down at my table. He goes, Paris, are you a pedophile? I says, what do you mean? So at this point, I'm not, it's kind of taking me, I'm doing some writing. I'm just, what do you mean? And then he got all nervous, and he got up and left. And then they went back to the banter. I don't know, is he? Isn't he? And it kept going for another 2 weeks. Okay? I want people to understand something. This is now it's a week, and then another 2 weeks. And now the other baristas are involved. Pedophile? Is he a pedophile? Is he a pedophile? I don't know. Maybe. He doesn't look like one. And it's all of this. They're talking. In the early days, they're talking. I can hear it. And but they never say, when I order my drink, they don't say anything. So it gone for 2 weeks. So I said, I have to do something, so I filed a complaint. That was basically the first complaint. To my knowledge, that was the first complaint. It's just because I had to stop. And they're all like this. All the complaints they just won't stop for whatever reason. So, and I can't challenge them directly because then they get uncomfortable and they run away. And then I feel like maybe I'm provoking something. Maybe I'm being antagonistic. So to me, the best way is let me call and get the manager involved. The manager was Eliza, who I'd known since 2016, right? 2016, she was a store manager. She was a very nice woman. She had 2 kids. She introduced me to her kids, and I knew her from 2016. She worked at another store, which I knew her too, and then she was transferred to this store, and then later she transferred to another store, and I always knew her. And she'd been at Starbucks for a long time. So up until 2025. So I'd known her 9 years. 9 years. To me, it's a long time to know somebody at just this, at the business, right? I'm a regular customer. I'm there every day. So, where was I? So I filed a complaint. I says, these people, they're talking, they're saying this. And they denied it. So there you go, they denied it. That's the first denial. Right? That's the first one right there. But then it continued. Then it became more what I would say subversive. They're more careful, more whispering. But not always. So then other staff were aware. And that at that time then, Andy and his associates continued to feed and brainwash, instruct Sophie, and they got their hands on her, and they poisoned her more and more. As soon as because when we dealt with it, and she's like, okay, he's not a pedophile. They came in and says, yeah, he is, and he's a serial killer, and he's a rapist, right? And they scared her, all of them. That's the problem. And the police, as you read as you heard in the decision, that Sophie was uncomfortable and afraid. Fear. She feared for her life. Because I'm a serial killer, rapist, pedophile, according to this gossip, and according to Andy, according to Brian, who's also involved. He got involved later in 2017. And all their associates, and Andy had gang members in trucks, SUVs, meeting her in the parking lot and controlling her. Right? But she didn't talk about that with the police because they told her keep that quiet, and then they told her what to say to the cops. So the police now, what they're getting is that, and this backed up by her managers, I am uncomfortable with Paris. Now, I'd known her for a year and a half. I'm uncomfortable with Paris. I'm afraid for my life. But the police had no evidence to substantiate, to arrest me. So they advised, when he comes in, you should tell her to instruct her to go to the back of the room. Then we won't have to deal with it. In the complaint, they said it's because she went in the back room because of the phone calls, of the complaints I was making. You're not afraid for your life because of phone calls, customer complaints, okay? She's afraid. That's what it is. And the police interpreted that. The problem is the police interpreted that as I am a stalker. I've been going to Starbucks before this girl was born. I have been friends with most of the staff. At that time, it was 2016. So for more than a year. More than a year, every day, no issue. Nothing. I've never done anything. I've not done anything. I've not done anything to make anyone afraid of me, okay? Just want to be clear about this. So the talking and the whispering continues. So I file additional complaints because I can't directly face them. So every time I make a complaint, they deny it, and then they start whispering. Sometime in the 2017, there was announced there's another store is going to open up, and this will have some reserve coffee, which I love coffee. It's going to have Starbucks reserve coffee, and you can order special coffee, and it's a big new place, and it's open late. So I'm like, finally, I'm going to get out of this place, Polson, where Sophie is at, and where Sam is at. I'm going to go to the other place. This is what I'm looking forward to this because I've been waiting. It's a very small coffee shop, and there's so much toxicity and poison. The environment's poison, and I can't stop it. So I'll go to the new place, new staff, new managers. I am so looking forward to this. And in July, Sophie says I'm transferring to the other place. Yeah, it's just going to be promoted to a supervisor. That's it. And I'm thinking to myself, oh crap. But I want the new coffee, and I love the later hours because the place I'm at, Polson, they close at 7:00, and I would come in at 5:30. So it's like a race to do my writing ritual. So the other place would be open at 9 or 10 o'clock. So I can come in. I would come in at 6, and I could stay till 8, and there's no rush. There's no stress. So anyway, the time and the better coffee and the bigger place outweighed the fact that Sophie was going to be there. Now before that was in September. In August of 2017. I came to Polson for a coffee, and for some unknown reason, Sophie spit in my coffee. I don't know. Maybe it was because I made a complaint against her last week. Anyway, or maybe somebody told her to do that. I've had that before. I was at a Tim Hortons once, and I ordered a coffee, and this guy... The guy was a gang member, and he gets a phone call, and the guy says spit in his coffee, and he spit in my coffee. So it's not unusual. But part of me wasn't sure, because the way she did it, she kind of went right, but not that she's not acting normal. She kind of. And then she wouldn't serve me the coffee. So part of me, I want to make sure that she spit in my coffee, and the only way to make sure is to drink it. That's the only way to make sure. And she wouldn't serve it. She went to the back to get her friend Michelle. Michelle was a Vietnamese Canadian. She came out, so she wasn't sure what was going on in the beginning, and then she served me the coffee. So now I know I've got this coffee, a tall Pike place. I'm at Starbucks. I know she spit in it, but I'm 98% sure. But the only way to be sure is to drink it. So I take my time. I sit down. I take my time. I put in some sugar and cream. Sophie comes out from the back, and she grabs a broom, and she starts sweeping. and she starts sweeping around my table. There's a lot of tables that are empty. I am at the table. She's sweeping. And she's sweeping. And she's like, she's looking to see if I'm going to drink the coffee. She's like, and she's not sweeping. She's just she's pushing dirt all over the place. Again, the place is empty. I think the place was empty. If you're going to sweep the floor, go to the other side instead of sweeping around the only customer here. It seems a little unusual, unless you spit in his coffee and now you want to see if he drinks it. So when I made sure she's looking, when I was sure that she's looking, I drank it. And then she left. You can't make this stuff up. So she left, and now I knew she drank. I knew she spit in it. She denied it. You heard the thing. She denied it, and the tribunal believed it, but she did it. Okay. So you have, again, the tribunal said there's no adverse effects in the service at Starbucks. Okay. How many more can we get before I've had enough? There's a bunch of other ones we'll just gloss over. Okay, they'd serve me cold coffee. One time, Sam gave me a cold coffee. I said, Sam, this coffee's cold. And he looked at me like, I can put it in the microwave if you want. I mean, part of me is thinking, this is coffee. This is Starbucks coffee. You don't put Starbucks coffee in the microwave. You should offer the guy another cup of coffee, or not charge him, or something. But coffee, coffee is sacred. You're not going to put Starbucks coffee in the microwave. That's the first lesson when you go to Starbucks. We do not microwave our coffee. That should be. I don't know what the lessons are. But it says lesson number 1. We don't microwave cold coffee. We offer the customer a new coffee, a fresh cup of coffee, because we value high quality coffee. Anyway, I said no thanks, and I just drank a cold coffee. I don't know. There's so many of these. Another time Sam came out with my coffee. I ordered a coffee. He grabbed it. And he came to the counter, and he went, bam! He smashed it on the table, and coffee went flying everywhere, all in my face, on my clothes, on his clothes. And he starts laughing. And there's a quarter of the coffee's gone. It's like, here's your coffee, and then he left. A lot of time they ignored my order. I would order, they'd ignore it. An hour later, I say, where's my order? We didn't get it. I make another order. I got to wait another half an hour. It took me an hour and a half to get a cup of coffee. As I said before, I would come into Starbucks, and there would be three of the baristas there, and they would all turn their backs. They would all turn their backs on me. I'd say, I want to order a coffee, and they got their backs to me. Hello? I want to order a coffee. And within about 5 or 6 minutes, another barista, who's not a fucking asshole, would come in and say, "What can I get you?" "Oh, Paris, we'll get you a drink." So there were a bunch of those. Cold coffee, forget to take my order. There was another. That was a complaint. Okay, so you see the complaints. The complaints are based in service, adverse effects in service. That's what they're based in. So things didn't go well, and I was making a lot of complaints. Probably made 15 complaints by then. And in January of 2018, I wanted to make another complaint about the service, and I hit the customer service starts laughing, starts making fun of my complaint, starts making fun of me, right? And I find out later that my phone calls were flagged. My name is flagged, right? So now I can't make complaints. They don't take me seriously. They joke. They make fun of me. It says, don't take this guy seriously. And there's no response to the complaints. When you're flagged, no matter what it is, they threw coffee into my eye. They will not respond. So I'd made several complaints and they didn't respond at all. So again, of the 25 complaints, there's a bunch of them that were just ignored. So then the harassment continued, whatever harassment was going on, whatever Andy was brainwashing these people to do. So and the person who blocked it, the person who flagged my call is Parker, the district manager. And this is all admitted. This was admitted in the phone call she made in March. Okay, so now they're fighting back, right? They're fighting back. The service is terrible, but now she doesn't want to deal with the problem. Now she's flagging, she's blocking me. They're mocking me, they're laughing. And again, if you recall in the decision, part of the complaint was they did not appropriately deal with the situation, and that's the way they dealt with it. They flagged my calls, and the employees denied everything. And then Parker's hiding Sophie in the back room. You see how you can see how it just gets worse and worse, and there's no one is solving the problem. Now, does that make me a misogynist? Am I a misogynist because Sophie spit in my coffee and I complain about it? Is it because I have an unreasonable expectation of young women and how they conduct themselves while working at Starbucks? Or am I making the complaint because she spit in my coffee? What is it? You think about it, but you think about it. From my perspective, I'm not some 12-year-old kid. I'm a mature adult, and these people are just destroying my rights and trashing my name and calling me a misogynist and lying to my face. This is Starbucks. And the service is terrible. The service is getting worse now because now they're getting upset because they got all these complaints. They have to keep denying it until they get more upset. Okay, so we get through January. And a lot of the time there's something happens, I just don't say anything. Like, they serve me cold coffee, I just ignore it. I just kind of chuckle to myself. I just drink the cold coffee. If they forget my order, I don't even have a coffee. I would sit there for 2 hours. I didn't even have a coffee. There were numerous times I didn't even have a coffee because they forgot to do it or they don't care. So I'm ignoring it, but every 2 or 3 weeks I would file a complaint because there's 10 or 12 incidents. Okay, we have to file a complaint. Then my name is flagged, so they're ignoring it anyway. I wait 2 or 3 more weeks, file a complaint, they ignore it, and then the service doesn't get better. Okay, so we get into February, right? February. I'm just giving you the highlights because it must be hundreds of incidents, of which I didn't make a complaint of every incident. Again, every 2 or 3 weeks, I would make a complaint. In 2 or 3 weeks, is every day there was often an incident. So you're talking about 15 or 16 incidents that culminate in one call. Again, you're thinking, why go there if this is a terrible place? Because it's the only place, it's the only coffee shop that's open late. So it's a smaller town or city. And all the coffee shops, they close at 5 or 4. Right? 4. The coffee shop closes. There's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. I don't start writing until 5:30. So I'm kind of stuck because I want to write. I just go there to write. And Sophie knew that. The guy just goes there to write. She knew that then, and she knows that now. Why is she destroying my life? It's because of Andy and the police. The undercover police. And because of Andy and his manipulations, his instructions. He would call her. I heard him call her once at Starbucks. I heard his voice. He says, hello. He said, hello. It was Andy. He's calling her. He would call her roommate, Ben, and they would text. They gave him a number to text if I show up to text. If I file a complaint, they sabotage my car. So it's not just they don't serve me coffee and they mistreat me and I file a complaint. They deny everything and my car gets sabotaged. My brake fluid is gone, Like there's 100 things going on at once. I just want to go to the damn coffee shop to write, to do my damn writing. Can I do that? Can I go to the coffee shop and write at Starbucks? Starbucks says number 1 is customer service. We pride ourselves on customer service. And I believe that. Back then, I don't believe it now. There is no customer service. So let's go back. Let's go down now. February 25, 2018. Okay? It's an important date. So I'm there at the counter. They have a big counter, like a bar counter, but it's for coffee. I'm there at the counter. I'm writing. There's a dozen customers. It's very quiet. I am so happy. The amount of relaxation and joy. I'm sitting by myself. Sophie is not working. She is off. And her main friends, all off. So the staff, they either like me or they're neutral. So nobody's saying anything. I was like, oh my God, this is the peak performance after so many months. And I'm writing. And about 7 o'clock, a bunch of people come in. And I'll give you 3 guesses as to who came in, but you're only going to need 1. Yes. If you guessed Sophie, you are correct. Sophie enters with her friends, and 90% of them are Starbucks employees, the ones who've been harassing me, the ones who don't like me, including Ben. Ben was there. All on their day off. They show up at Starbucks when, at the time I am there, and this is 7 o'clock or 7:30, the time I am there, the time she knows I am there. Okay? They come in. But it gets even better. You know why it gets better? Because Sophie is drunk. She's drunk. And as soon as she sees me sitting there by myself, she makes a beeline right from me and starts to go at it. Harassing me, saying all kinds of crazy stuff. And I turn my head and I just kind of just ignore her. I said to myself, like, just ignore it. Just because, again, I don't want to make any more complaints. I do everything not to make a complaint. I fight with myself not to make a complaint. Don't make a complaint. Don't stop. As she went on, and she's drunk, so she's speaking her mind. And then I do not turn, I don't say anything. And then finally I turn and says, don't you have anything better to do? And then she turns around to the customers and she starts engaging the customers that I'm a bad guy. See that guy over there? See that guy over there? And she's now, smearing my reputation in front of the dozen customers. And they're all having a good time. And she's drunk. Yeah. She's very loud. She can be very vulnerable and quiet, and that's convincing to the police, but she's a very loud person, and she's just going at it. Thankfully, I noticed that there's this older female came over, maybe her cousin or aunt or something, and she calmed her down, Sophie, and because Sophie was still going. She was going to go for the whole night. Anyway, about half an hour later, she says, Sophie, okay, that's enough. And she took her away. 25th. Am I a misogynist? Am I expecting that young women should conduct themselves in a particular way while working at Starbucks? I got to read this thing again. What did I say here? Let me read it again here. I accept, this is paragraph 80, I accept the respondent's submission that much of Mr. Tosin's complaint is based on his views and expectations of how Miss Santai and other young women should conduct themselves while working at Starbucks. His allegations that Miss Santai and other partners discriminated against him by failing to pay enough attention to him or to be friendly enough are examples of this. Jesus H. Christ. That could not be more fundamentally flawed and patently untrue. And that's the basis. That is the basis why my complaint was dismissed. That is the fundamental basis, not in the lack of evidence. There's all this evidence. It's this belief, this radical feminist ideology that is the basis, which is completely untrue, which is completely hypothetical, which is completely subjective and conjecture. So February has 28 days. So March. So I filed a complaint. That night, I called customer service. One of your employees came in drunk and harassed me. I cannot be any more succinct. The evidence is indisputable. She acted in an unreasonable way for no reason at all. She came to the store at the time I was there on her day off. And she targeted me and she harassed me. I cannot have a stronger complaint. This is my strongest complaint yet. And there are witnesses. There's 20 witnesses. All the employees witnessed it. Right? On duty, off duty, everybody, the customers saw it. I got witnesses. I have an incident. I didn't instigate. I didn't provoke. I tried to avoid. I still didn't yell at her. I didn't engage. I didn't push, hit. Didn't do anything. I could have. If I was a younger person, I might have. So February 25th. So 26, 27, 28, March 1. 4 days. 4 days later, Parker calls me up. She says, this is not working. Paris, this is not working out. Why? What? It's not working out. I say, what's not working out? You and Sophie. I said to her, I says, because I didn't understand what's going on. I says, why don't we all sit down, the three of us? You, me, and Sophie. Right? Parker's a mature woman. She's the district manager. You, me, and Sophie at a Starbucks, so there'll be other people there. And let's try to find a way to get through this, right? Let's figure this out, find out what the issue is. And if I understand the issue, then, right? then I can deal with the issue. If she says I'm the problem, then I can decide how to deal with that. Maybe I can leave, right? If she's got some other problems, then there's another solution. She said, Paris, there's no way that it's ever going to happen. Because you go back to she's afraid of me. But wait a minute. She's afraid for her life. She's hiding in the back room when I go to Starbucks. Or when she's at work, she's hiding in the back room. When she comes in drunk, she's attacking me. And trying to humiliate me and make a fool out of me in front of all the customers. How can you can't have both sides. You can't. You can't be afraid for your life and then start harassing and mocking somebody in front of all the customers for no reason at all. And then when I come in the next day, she's hiding in the back room. I'm afraid. I'm uncomfortable. I'm afraid. I'm uncomfortable. He makes me feel uncomfortable. The police said I can go in the back room. I told the police he's stalking me. And then when you come in drunk, you can attack me. You can't have it both ways. But she is having it both ways. So Parker says there's no way that's going to happen. Well, I as an adult, if there's some problem, we sit down and talk about it because I haven't been able to deal with it. I don't know what the problem is. Why won't you stop? Stop. And she says, Paris, I'm banning you from the store. I says, what do you mean? I'm banning you from the store. So what does that mean? She says, I don't want you to come to this store ever again. I said, what? She says, do you understand? She has a very stern voice. I do not want you to come to this store ever again. I'm banned? I am banning you. I am banning you. I'm thinking, what the hell did I do? What have I done to be banned? The girl 4 days ago attacked and harassed me for no reason at all. No provocation, no reason. And before that, there wasn't probably even a complaint because I'm trying to avoid complaint. All of it is denied. It's not just denied. The tribunal has completely agreed with the respondents. Okay, but it gets even more interesting. Okay, fine. I leave, okay? I leave, and then there's other things happening. And then I did mention that, so I left, right? And I stopped even going to coffee shops just to make sure that there's no reason for people to get upset. And then July 7th, I was assaulted by Sophie's friends. And then in August, so I live in the same neighborhood, and I often go to walks at nighttime, which is when I think and relax, because it's very quiet. It's a very quiet neighborhood. And one particular night in August, the first week of August, I was out walking. I was coming home. And I'm at the end of the street, and I see somebody walking out from the house. And I recognize him as Brian. So this is about 2:30 in the morning, 3 in the morning. And I often took, I was always up late. What do you call it? Owl. Night owl. Yeah, in those days, I would stay up to 4 or 5 in the morning. So about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, I look and I see Brian is exiting Sophie and Ben's house. And he's smiling and he goes into his car. 2018, August. And I know there were other things going on back in 2017 with Brian. Right. So he's knee deep. Brian is knee deep. to my understanding, my speculation is that Andy told Brian, who's closer to Sophie's age, and he lives in Vernon, go there, and keep an eye on her. You can even sleep with her if you want. All right? We'll protect you, don't worry. I'll protect you. Just pull down my pants. So, there's Andy in the background calling her. There's Brian going to her house. The police are completely oblivious, sleeping. There's no police. They think I'm the stalker. Am I the stalker? I left, and they're still attacking me. They're stalking me. So, yada, yada, yada. The decision comes out July 19. I decide to file a petition. It's a lot of work. So every day I'm trying to figure it out. I'm working on the petition, and I'm going to the courthouse, the Vernon courthouse, to prepare my documents and see what I need to file the affidavit. And on September 25th, right, September 25th, 2023, right, 9 weeks after the decision we talked about in the beginning, 9 weeks after, I said to myself, I'd like to have a cup of coffee, and why don't I go to Starbucks? And Starbucks has said, I'm welcome at any Starbucks. I was never banned. That's what they said. It was never banned. I'm welcome at any Starbucks. The decision is your complaint is dismissed. So that's over. They won. I said, I'm going to go to Starbucks. So I go to the one on Anderson Way. And that is where Eliza is the store manager. She's moved stores to Anderson Way, which is a newer store. It's a nice store. And grab a coffee, and I sit down. And then I notice Eliza talking to two of her supervisors. And I'm saying to myself, wonder what's that about. And then I try to, just try not to read into it. And I continue my writing. Now I'm preparing for my petition for the dismissal, which says that I was never banned. Understand, I was never banned. There's no adverse effects. Everything was denied. She didn't spit in my coffee. Nobody did anything to me whatsoever or at all. So, okay, I got to see if I can file a petition. I'm ready. These two ladies come over, and they call me by name. Hi, Parrish, and I've never met them before. Parrish, we are asking you to leave. I said, huh? Like, you gotta, I have a sense of humor, right? I have a sense of humor. I understand there's a certain amount of corruption in the world. There's a certain amount of bad people. Certain bad things happen, and you deal with it. I understand, and certain people have problems, and certain people have conditions. Not everybody's perfect. I am at the age where I can say, okay, I have a sense of humor about it. It's okay. I am not going to take it personal. But this is stretching that sense of humor. I'm running out of sense of humor. These two ladies, the one lady speaking, Jade, she says, we want you to leave. I said, why? And she says, you're just not allowed to be here at this time.
I'm going to ask that you please don't record this.
Well, I need to check, find out what's going on or what. I don't know what's going on.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, you're just not allowed to be in here at this time.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask that you please don't record this
Okay.
because there are laws surrounding.
I said, what does that mean? I'm not allowed to be here at this time. I just finished. I just got dismissed. I'm welcome at any Starbucks. Parrish, we want you to leave. I said, why? You're just not allowed to be here at this time. But somebody, it's like a lawyer wrote that line, Because what happened in the complaint, the lawyers wrote this line that we did not ban him, but we just felt it was prudent for him not to be there and making her uncomfortable and all that. They wrote it in a way that made me look like the culprit. And somebody wrote this line, you're just not allowed to be here at this time. But I am allowed to be here because I was told by the company, by the lawyers, which was accepted by the tribunal, that the basis of the winning the tribunal case is the fact that he is welcome at any Starbucks and he was never banned. The decision is made. I just come here. Within a minute, you're asking me to leave, and you don't give me a reason. They don't give me a reason. Luckily, I realized previously, because I didn't record it, I didn't have any solid, hard evidence, so I turned on my camera and I recorded some of the conversation.
I'm going to ask that you please don't record this.
Well, I need to check, find out what's going on or why. I mean, I don't know what's going on.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, you're just not allowed to be in here at this time.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask that you please don't record this
Okay.
because there are laws surrounding.
As you can see, as you can hear, I'm not allowed to be there, which is effectively ban. You banned me again. I have a sense of humor. You banned me before, you denied it. Now they're dismissing. Now you're banning me again for no reason. But there's no reason. I have not done anything. Which you can't just do that. You can't just kick me out for no reason. Because that would be tantamount to some kind of retaliation. Because it's just the decision was just made. So they won. We won. Get out. But the decision is very clear. He is not banned and he is welcome at any Starbucks. So they banned me. And I'm filing a petition. After the petition failed, I filed a retaliation complaint. That was back in January 2024. But think about how much time am I spending on this thing? So from July 19 to July all the way to January, I'm spending time on this petition and this retaliation. So that's August, September, October, November, December, January, 6 months. Then I go to court. I spent 2 days in court for the petition. The judge rejected it, denied the application. That's in February. So 7 months, 8 months. 7, 8 months of my life to prove that I was banned. Because I was banned. What? You understand, maybe it's my ego. I was banned. The tribunal says you weren't banned. Right? You heard the complaint. They denied the banning, and the tribunal accepts it. He wasn't banned. He wasn't mistreated. There's no adverse effects. He didn't spit in my coffee. Nothing ever happened. The moon is round. Forget about it. The sun is hot. They just banned me again. So that was January 24, and I have not heard back since then. So it's been 2 years, and there's another 2 years. I'm waiting for the response. I am not looking for a positive response. Okay. They're going to try to dismiss it on some basis. But I do have the video. and I was banned. Maybe it is my ego. I was banned. I'm just tired of this outright denying the obvious. So the question is, am I a misogynist? Maybe that's the question. Am I a misogynist? Do I have an unreasonable expectation of young women and how they should conduct themselves at the workplaces, particularly at Starbucks? Or have I been mistreated, abused, and discriminated against and banned? I'll let you decide. How's that? I'll let you decide. That's the, let's wrap up this episode. Be well, be happy. And if you're allowed to go to Starbucks, good for you. I'm not. I'm still banned.
Just close your eyes and you'll see something, a story never seen. It started at Starbucks with a barista queen. She joined a criminal group one day, a group that couldn't be seen. But Paris, he fought them all like the animals in the sea. The animals in the sea.